What is going on, guys? Lildogdog here, and today I'm bringing you a long-awaited quest guide, the quest guide for Birthright of the Dwarves. This is a one-to-one follow-along quest guide, which is why it's so long. You can follow right along, do as I do. We're going to have the requirements screen up next so you know what you need to have done, what you need to bring, what you should do to be able to complete this quest. Before we get into that, I would like to ask that you leave a like and subscribe. These types of videos take a really long time to do. I put a lot of work into these, and the only way you guys can really show your appreciation is by leaving a like and subscribing. On the other hand, if you hated this video, you just don't like me as a person, or you have complaints about something I did, leave a dislike. That's what it's there for. You know, I probably deserve it. Anyways, let's get into the video. Okay, so the requirements for this quest are that you complete King of the Dwarves. It's also recommended, just to make it easier throughout the actual quest, that you have completed Watchtower quests as well as the Fremnic Isles quest. You can find a guide for each of those quests on my channel. It's also a requirement that you have 80 mining, 82 smithing, and 85 strength. You need to have these to even begin the quest. These are not boostable skills. You do have to have these skills to be able to complete the quest. Now, the only thing necessarily needed for this quest is that you have 7 free inventory spaces throughout the entirety of the quest. You're not going to get 7 items at one time or anything like that. However, there are a few recommended items that I would really recommend you bring. Those items being at least 20 food. You are going to take a lot of damage at one point during this quest, so it is highly recommended that you bring at least 20 food. Also recommended that you bring combat equipment. Magic equipment is ideal for combat. However, you'll see in the video, I wore melee so that I had a better protection from range damage, because you do take significant range damage during this quest. Also, energy potions are recommended so that way you don't run out of run energy because there is a lot of running around. Okay, so if you've got everything you need to start the quest, you're going to want to go to the top floor of the palace where you can find King Veldaban. You're going to want to start by talking to King Veldaban. If he isn't there, log out and log back in. Choose the first chat option, Hello Veldaban, and follow that up with the first chat option, So you're king. What now? He's going to tell you that he still has a lot of issues even though he is king with the Red Axe and feels as though they're plotting more things. Follow that up with the third chat option, What are you going to do? And he's going to be like, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you do it because you've really been doing everything this whole time. So, accept the quest. That's what you're here for. Make sure you have the requirements, the suggested requirements, if you want to have them done. And just be ready to do the quest. He's going to tell you that he's got a few tasks for you, but for starters, he wants you to go investigate a couple potential spies he's captured. Choose the second chat option. Okay, bye. And then what we're going to do is go to the area where the records chamber was located, west of the Blackguard HQ. So you're going to want to run to the records chamber. It's actually the cave prior to the records chamber, but it's where we put the keys in the records chamber in the King of the Dwarves quest. Once you get up to the door, you're going to want to enter. And then once you're within, you're going to want to talk to Lieutenant Bray. Start out the dialogue by choosing the first chat option, He's not coming, he sent me instead. And then your character will show her the royal seal given to you by Veldaban. Now you're going to choose the third or fourth chat option, thanks. It can be the third or fourth depending on what quests you've done. And then next you're going to want to talk to Vigor, who is the dwarf who is just to the north of the door. Vigor will be mad that you even accuse him of being a Red Axe spy and tell you that you need proof. So that's that. Talk to Brent, who is the far south dwarf. And we're going to start out the dialogue with Brent by choosing the first chat option, Why did King Sorvat say you were from the Red Axe? He'll give you his excuse and say that his captain's nickname was Red Axe. Choose the second chat option, I'll come back. And now you're going to want to talk to Grunt, who is the far north dwarf. He was also on the boat with Brent, so choose the third chat option, What was the nickname of your ship's captain? He'll give you a different name, and now you have conflicting stories. So, go talk to Brent, once again the far south dwarf, and choose the third chat option. Grunt says the ship's captain was Sigrid's Stotir. He'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. And Embrace like, all right, you got it here. Um, make your decision. So I chose to send Brent away as a traitor. This has no impact. You can really choose whatever options to send people away and kill people as you feel is appropriate. After you decide what to do with Brent, you're going to get the option to do the same with Grunt. I chose to execute Grunt as a Red Axe Spy because. And once you're done with that, you're going to want to talk to Klaas, who is the center south dwarf. Klaas is just going to be real mad and say that the king's a traitor and that he's not a Red Axe Spy. Uh, choose the first chat option, calling for the overthrow of the king is treason, which is executionable in and of itself. And he's going to say that it would be if he was the real king. First chat option again, how do you know Veldaban isn't the rightful king? And he's going to say, I just know that he's not. I have my sources. Choose the second chat option, I think the Red Axe told you to say this. He's going to laugh at that and say, go talk to Mikey. So choose the third chat option, I'll come back. Now, first, what we're going to do is find the physical evidence that Vigor is actually a traitor. So we're going to go to his workshop, which is on the bottom floor of the Western Palace. So we're going to go to the furnace. This is the furnace where in King of the Dwarfs you smelted the mithril keys for the records chamber, if you recall. Once you make it into the room with the furnace, you're going to right click on the furnace and select search. All right, so once you've searched it, you'll get a stack of letters. You're going to want to read those letters, and it will basically incriminate Vigor and tell you that they're letters between Vigor and a Red Axe commander. Next, what we're going to want to do is vet Klaas. So we're going to go talk to Mikey, who's located in the King's Axe Inn, just south of the bank. So proceed to the King's Axe Inn. Once you get inside the King's Axe Inn, talk to Mikey, located on the west side, sitting at the table, and choose the first chat option. Klaas is calling for a revolution. She's going to say, ugh, again, I know. I don't know why. He was doing that before, too, against the Consortium. So choose the first chat option again. Why does Klaas think Veldaban isn't the rightful king? And as we both know, she's the one who changed it, and that Veldaban isn't actually the rightful king. She's going to tell you, I don't know, he didn't get it from me. Say, could he have gotten the idea from the Red Axe? And she will tell you, I don't think so. I haven't seen anything to indicate he's Red Axe. And that with the second chat option, goodbye. And now we're going to go back to the records chamber west of the Blackguard HQ. Once you get inside the chamber, you're going to want to talk to Vigor, who is the center north dwarf. He'll demand proof again. So choose the first chat option. Here are some letters I found in your workshop. You got that physical proof, so he starts freaking out. And, I got to say, he's a traitor. You're presented with the option to do with him what you will. And because I know he's a traitor, I decided to execute him as a Red Axe Spy. Once Vigor's gone, you're going to want to talk to Klaas, the last dwarf in the room, and center south, and choose the first chat option. I spoke to Mikey. She vouched for you. It's to say, of course she did. I'm not a Red Axe traitor. I just know that Veldaban isn't the rightful king. And so I chose the third option, let him go, because he's not a Red Axe spy. He's just kind of a bad person, which isn't something you can kill people for, unfortunately. After that, you'll talk to Lieutenant Bray, and now it's time to head back to Veldaban on the top floor of the palace. So head back inside the throne room, and then you're going to want to talk to King Veldaban. Start out by selecting the first chat option to say, I've dealt with these suspected spies. You'll provide him with a report, and he'll be satisfied with your decision making. So you're going to want to choose the first chat option. Vigor said the Red X broke off contact with him, and he's going to suggest that, there is something going on for sure. Choose the second chat option, goodbye. And now we need to go to the Taverly Dungeon. Taverly Dungeon is located just south of the Taverly Lodestone, across the river from the bank. So what we're going to do to get there is home teleport to Taverly. Obviously, there are faster ways to get there, but I use home teleports as they are accessible to everyone and free. So from the Lodestone, you're going to run south. There is an agility shortcut to cross the river here, which will save you some time. However, there is no agility requirement for this quest, so we did not use that. Enter the dungeon. And then once you get in the dungeon, we need to go to the area where the Chaos Dwarves are located, which is just south of the Lesser Demons. So what you're going to do is you're going to run north, then east, then all the way south. And when you get to the Chaos Dwarfs, you're going to want to just start killing them. Just murk them. Make them regret making that decision to be turned into Chaos Dwarfs against their will. So when you finally make it to the area, the Chaos Dwarfs are kind of spread out, so you have to click on them and run around a bit. But you're going to want to kill Chaos Dwarfs until an NPC named Acadia the Exile appears. Um, it took me 3 Chaos Dwarf kills for her to appear. It may take more for you, probably not. When she does appear, she's going to come up to you and try and start a dialogue. It may end if you're in combat like it did for me here. Just talk to her. She's going to walk up to you, and she's going to tell you that what you're doing is not going to work and that you need to come find her at her ritual circle. Her ritual circle is located just to the north in the same dungeon where the Chaos Druids can be found. So, from the Chaos Dwarfs, run north to the Chaos Druids, who you already ran by. When you get to the ritual circle, you're going to want to talk to Acadia the Exile, and she's going to tell you that you need to fight her to get the information out of her. So choose the second chat option, I am ready, and when you are ready for combat, protect from magic. She attacks with magic. She is level 126. This was actually one of the easier fights in this, well, the easiest fight, I should say, in this quest, even though she is one of the highest levels you will fight. It's just because she has a low HP pool. Um, Once she dies, you'll automatically be phased back into normal RuneScape, and you'll be given dialogue. Choose the first chat option, or the second one, it really doesn't matter. I said a worthy combat, so if you want to do the same thing I do, choose the first chat option. You'll go through the dialogue here, and she's going to tell you that the Chaos Dwarves are as pure and as perfect as they can be. That's what dwarves should be. And eventually she'll ask you if you believe her. Choose the third chat option. You're my enemy. Die, Zamarakian scum. You can let her live if you want to, but that's how I feel about it. So you kill her, and then it's time to finish the last task we were given by Veldaban at the beginning of the quest. We need to go to the Watchtower in Yanil to figure out how to deal with the memory issues. So, home teleport to Yanil. From the lodestone, you're going to want to run to the watchtower. This can be done by running all the way east outside of Yanil, and then all the way west on following the outer wall back to the watchtower. There is also a shortcut in the wall, which I'm going to run past right here. You can see I just clicked on it. It requires 16 agility. If you have that, it will shorten the walk significantly. I didn't use it. As I said, agility is not a requirement for this quest, so I ran all the way around. Now, if you've completed the Watchtower quest, you can just climb up the ladders inside, which is what I did. However, if you have not, you need to climb the trellis, which is located on the north side of the Watchtower. Once you make it to the top of the Watchtower, you're going to want to talk to the Watchtower Wizard. He looks a little different. He's walking around on the top floor. There's only so many. Figure it out. And then during the dialogue, you're going to give in the chat option. Choose the first chat option King Veldaban sent me. You're going to tell him about the memory issues that you've been having, and he's going to tell you, or that have been occurring, and he's going to tell you, you've probably been victim to these as well. You don't remember being victim to any memory issues, as far as you can remember, which is kind of the thing about it. But eventually, you get the option to call him out on it. So say, what? My memories are fine. Or don't. This is another one of those chat options that don't matter. And he's gonna be like, we'll see. We're gonna fix it. So choose the first chat option. I'm ready. He provides you with a wand that is used for your memory, and it's gonna take you into this area, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, what you're gonna want to do is use the wand on the 2 floating kebabs as well as the 2 floating beers. When you do this, they're gonna explode like that, and these little floating things will appear that you're supposed to catch. Now, this is one of the main mechanics of this quest is restoring memories, and this is how you restore memories to their correct order. Your memories have been replaced with beer and kebabs, as well as other things in other people's heads. So, once you've exploded all of the kebabs and beers, you're going to want to catch all of the floating fragments. You'll end up with 4 of each color. There's yellow, blue, red, and gray. They are kind of annoying to catch. You'll be running around for a while to catch all 16 of them, but it's what this quest requires, and you better get used to it because you're going to be doing a lot of it. So, once you've caught all 4 fragments of each color, you're going to want to return to the memory voids, which appeared when you exploded the beers and kebabs, and investigate them. This is going to give you a text box with a statement, and that's going to tell you what fragment needs to be used on that specific memory void. So, for example, what would a gnome be doing here corresponds to the gnome emissary fragment. That was the one we just used right there. Walking stick, spiky hair, twirly mustache is the Hreidmar fragment. The Grimsson fragment is I wonder where he got that scar, which you see on screen right here. And the last one is it's not natural for a dwarf to look like that, which is the Chaos Dwarf fragment. Once you complete and correct all 4 memory fragments, you're going to be greeted with a cutscene in where you observe what actually happened when you lost your memory. And it shows you that Hreidmar was working with gnomes to create Chaos Dwarfs with Colonel Grimsson. Once the cutscene is over, the Watchtower Wizard is going to allow you to keep the wand, and then we're going to want to go back to King Veldaban, located in the palace in Keldagrim. There are faster ways to get back to Keldagrim. However, what I did was home teleport to Varrock and then use the trapdoor at the Grand Exchange to get back. This is the easiest accessible way for everybody. If you had a Varrock teleport set to the Grand Exchange, obviously faster. But this is the way I used. So once you get back in the throne room, you're going to want to talk to King Veldaban and choose the first chat option. I investigated the Taverly dungeon. You're going to tell her about the exiled and choose the first chat option. Yes, I believed her. You could also choose the second chat option and not believe her, but I chose the first chat option. Say, I got a wand from the Watchtower Wizard. And then the second chat option, I'll keep hold of it. This is how you'll restore people's memories via the same mechanic later in the game. Second chat option again, I'll meet you at the Barendir Caves because now it's time for combat. So the Barendir Caves are located on the south side of what is West Keldagrim, technically. To get there, we're going to go to the boat just north of the Consortium on East Keldagrim. So this is the part of the quest where you're going to attempt the toughest portion. I recommend filling your inventory with food and leaving only a few spaces. You will more than likely eat it. When you are ready, head to the ferryman just north of the Consortium. Seriously, make sure you have enough food in your inventory. I did die multiple times during this portion of the quest. If you're a hardcore Iron Man, use the Sign of Life. But once you're ready, travel via the ferryman. You can right click on him and select travel. And this is going to take you down to the south side of Keldagrim. And you can run east and enter the tunnel. Once you're in the tunnel, you're going to want to run all the way to the north and then enter the north doorway. All the way to the north is where you fought Colonel Grimsson in King of the Dwarves. And then you're going through the door that he went through when he ran from you when he almost died during that combat. Now, once you're in this room, you're going to want to talk to King Veldaban, who is standing near the dwarf multi-cannon on the northeast side of the room. And he's going to tell you that just behind this wall here is the lava flow mine for the Red Axe. This is where their hideout is. When you're ready, talk to Nilodian. And Nilodian's going to tell you that you need to fire that cannon to knock out that wall, and then the siege is going to begin. There are likely cannons, which they are using for defenses because they're dwarves, and that you will need to avoid those during this portion of the quest. He's going to give you these little gears, which you can use to take out the cannons, and then when you're ready, fire the cannon. Once again, you may die. You have the benefit of watching me do this before you attempt it. I recommend you do that. I died 3 times attempting this. Through the power of editing, you don't get to see that, but what you saw was finally my successful attempt. So once this cutscene ends, you're going to be placed into cover inside the lava flow mine, and this cover will protect you from the cannon that is going to be shooting at you. The objective while in this room is to make your way to the north side of the lava flow mine to confront Colonel Grimsson while destroying all the cannons on your way. I recommend you protect from missiles during this as the cannons hit for 2300 plus, even with prayers. Now there are no bridges, so to be able to actually cross the lava, you need to hide behind the pillars. The pillars will take the shot for you, and you need to cross the pillar as soon as it goes down to avoid being shot. Now, to avoid the shots in general, you can hide behind piles of rocks, pillars, and boilers. And you should only move right after a cannon has been fired, as you see I do here. To actually destroy the cannons, all you need to do is click on them. Keep in mind you will likely take damage during this process, and make sure you move away before it actually explodes because it will deal 5,000 plus damage to you if you are too close. Now, please watch this in full before attempting it to yourself because at the end it is a bit more difficult. Um, just repeat the process of moving up behind cover and destroying the cannons until you reach the end. There are 5 cannons in total, and the last 3 are really close to each other on the north side. So anticipate that you will be taking damage. Try and keep your health as high as possible. My strategy with these last ones was to try and bum rush it as fast as possible. I kind of ignored the combat. You can use like a Vampirism Aura or a Blood Amulet of Fury, something like that to try and restore health. Even Soul Split if you have it, if you're running low on food. What I decided to do here was destroy the first cannon and run up into cover. Eat up to almost full health and then just sprint to the next cannon, destroy it, and sprint back into cover. I took 2 shots from cannons here as well as damage from other sources, but try and move right after the cannons have been shot to avoid as much damage as possible. So you see, right after this cannon gets shot, I run up to it, and then because I know where the next place to go is, I just run straight to the final platform where Colonel Grimsson is located. Veldaban will follow you up, and Colonel Grimsson as well as Veldaban will jump into minecarts here. Once this little cutscene, I guess, ends, you're going to want to pull the lever located at the top of the platform here, and then run around and ride in the minecart off the platform. Your character rides the minecart and ends up in a cave right here next to an entrance. You're going to want to enter this cave door right next to where your character is standing. And this is going to begin a cutscene where they are using the memory tricks on King Veldaban to try and make him obey Hreidmar and the Red Axe. They catch you spying and try to use the same on you, but fortunately you have the magic wand which prevents that, and you go back to saving people's memories. Because you're in this room right here, you're going to go into each of these people's memories. You're going to go into Veldaban's first, then Grimsson, then Hreidmar, then Grunsh. So he freaks out and sends you into people's memories. So start off by using the wand on the Royal Red Axe Standard, which is the flag, and then to the west of that, the Zamorak Chaplain and the Chaos Dwarf. Once again, these are going to explode and cause memory voids as well as fragments to float around, and you need to correct King Veldaban's memories. So we're going to start by gathering 3 of each of the fragments, the conscript fragment, the chaplain fragment, and the standard fragment. And then once you catch all 3 of each fragment, you're going to return to the memory voids to investigate them. Once again, you'll be given some dialogue indicating what the correct memory should be, and you're going to use the corresponding fragment to put the correct dialogue. So he doesn't want to be here would correspond to the conscript fragment. Guthix won't help us now will correspond to the Guthixian chaplain, and 8 colored segments on a flag is the consortium standard. Once you've corrected all the memories, Veldaban will notice that you're in his memories and that you're fixing his memories and tell you that you should continue to fix memories and possibly do Colonel Grimsson next. He knows there's more work to do. So you're going to be teleported into Colonel Grimsson's memory now. What you're going to want to do is start off by using the wand on the 2 dwarves who are attacking Colonel Grimsson. There's one to the east and one to the west of him, one large named Dwarfbone, and one south called Small Troll. Once you've used the wand on each of these, they're going to explode into 6 troll fragments and 6 dwarf fragments. You need to collect all 12 fragments, so just walk around collecting them. Keep in mind they can go pretty far from where the fragments exploded. I had a few go all the way to the north, so if you can't find them, just keep looking around. Once you have all the fragments, return to the memory voids to investigate them, and then use the corresponding fragment on each void. The corresponding fragments would be Broken Rocks is Dwarf Bone, that's the Troll fragment, and then He Doesn't Want to Be Here is the Dwarf Conscript fragment. And Colonel Grimsson will realize that he is actually fighting the Dwarf Conscript. So you're going to want to talk to Colonel Grimsson to get him to notice. If it doesn't work, just keep clicking on him. Eventually the dialogue will trigger, and he'll realize that his memory was altered and that he was actually attacking dwarves. He'll be mad at you for bringing that back into his memory because he's not a fan. Next, he'll be teleported to Hreidmar's memory, and you'll see that he's talking to Zamorak, and Zamorak is commanding him to be a good Zamorakian follower and seize power in Kaldegrim for Zamorak. He's real hype about it. He's super excited that he is the rightful heir to the throne, and he needs to get the consortium out of there. Once the dialogue here is over, it's the same process again. Explode using the wand, correct the memory by collecting the fragments, and use it on the memory void. The correct thing to use the wand on is Zamorak. Zamorak is not actually there. And then gather 6 Zamorakian fragments and use them on the memory void. Once you use them on the memory void, it will reveal that Hreidmar was actually talking to a statue, not Zamorak himself. He'll be mad at you, but say that it really doesn't change anything. Next, we're going to be teleported to Grunsh's memory. In Grunsh, gotta say, not a fan of having his memory altered. So, what we need to do in this instance here is use the wand on the 3 dwarves. You have the old dwarf, basically it's Colonel Grimsson, Hreidmar, as well as the gnome emissary. Now, this one is a little different and the most difficult in gathering the fragments. So, it's the same. You want to collect 3 of each fragment, Hreidmar, Grimsson, and gnome. However, uh, Grunsh is going to be casting spells on them and making them dangerous. Do not collect them when they're labeled as dangerous because you will have to restart. It will explode all the fragments in your inventory. It's very important that you are patient during this process because he's casting these spells pretty quick and you have to be quick on the click, especially when you get down to your last few fragments. So just you'll see I actually accidentally catch a dangerous one here. I don't know if I can't remember if I did it on purpose or if I just wanted to test it out, see what would happen. But yeah, it explodes all of them in your inventory. Just make sure you're not collecting them when they're dangerous. Once you've collected 3 of each, you're going to want to return to the memory voids and then use them on the correct fragments, or use the correct fragments on the correct voids, which would be what would a gnome be doing here is the gnome emissary fragment, walking stick, spiky hair, twirly mustache is Hreidmar, and I wonder where he got that scar is Grimsson. Once you actually correct the memories, uh, Grunch realizes that he was tricked into working for them and that they told him they saved him when they were actually the reason he was no longer in Gutanath. Once that cutscene ends and you're out of Grunch's memory, he'll talk to you and apologize and say he didn't know what he was doing. King Veldaban suggests you kill him, but I said I'm letting him live. Get out of here. He was living a lie. He didn't want to do what he was doing. He apologizes and then he leaves. So from this area here, I do go north. That was an accident. You're going to want to walk into the door directly to the east. And this is going to place you in the Red Axe Palace. See that Hreidmar has built himself a statue. It's a little bit long. But once it pans back, you're going to want to run to the north and enter the palace. Once you're in the palace, climb to the first floor. And then you're going to want to run across the trading floor and attempt to open the door to the top floor. It's where the stairs are in the palace in Keldagrim, but there's only stairs on one side. When you attempt to open it, you'll see that it's guarded by a Chaos Dwarf and that he is not going to let you in. So what we're going to want to do is talk to the Northeast Red Axe Director. Talk to him and choose the fourth chat option. My friend here would like to join the Red Axe. He's really excited about that. Says that he's going to be the greatest Red Axe Director, but King Veldaban, not cool with it, says that we're going to make him the only Red Axe Director. So you know what that means. Time to murder. So we're going to murder every single other Red Axe Director. 7 of them. There are 4 on each side. We're going to leave the one that we talked to initially and kill the rest. They can be found separated in their little offices. So there's an office, 2 offices on the interior next to where the stairs would be, and 2 offices on the exterior. Once you've spilled enough blood, we're going to go back to the Northeast Director. And then once you're done talking to him, go back to the guarded door to the second floor, or the top floor. Now the Chaos Dwarf will let you in, and we're going to climb the stairs. Now, it is time for the final battle, so when you're ready, enter the throne room and speak to Colonel Grimsson. Consider watching all 3 fights. There are multiple phases, multiple things to know about these fights before you attempt them yourself, just so you're sure. So once you're ready, you're going to head in and talk to Colonel Grimsson and choose the third chat option. All right, Grimsson, bring it on. It's going to be just Colonel Grimsson who attacks you. He's actually going to try and attack Veldaban because he says the fight is between the 2 of them, but you're involved. So you're going to kill that dude. And what you're going to do to make sure he's attacking you is right-click him and select Provoke when you see him attacking Veldaban. Veldaban cannot die. Do not let him take damage. And just make sure that you're doing everything you can to deal damage, and don't let your health fall to 0. Barge does not work in this area if you're using melee. Be advised. So once you kill Colonel Grimsson, Hreidmar really doesn't like that. He kind of takes it personally. So you're going to see a cutscene here where Hreidmar takes a dragon staff, which is attached to his throne, and uses it to cast a pretty sick spell, which I wish they would let us have here in game. That spell turns all the dwarves in the room into Chaos Dwarves, meaning Veldaban is also transformed into a Chaos Dwarf. Fortunately, you don't have to fight him, but what that does is it makes Hreidmar a little more powerful and a lot more aggressive, as well as brings Colonel Grimsson back to fight as Chaos Grimsson. So you have to fight them both at the same time, which would be a bit aggravating and very hard to do. So what I recommend you do is you use the door as a safe spot to only fight one at a time. You have to fight Chaos Grimsson first because he cannot be safe spotted. So fight Chaos Grimsson first. What I did was I opened the door and then I ran a little to the south. And what that'll do is that'll have Chaos Hreidmar path to the other side of the door. Then you can use the door to fight Chaos Grimsson. So, a few things to know about the fight with Chaos Grimsson. He has special abilities. When he reaches 100% adrenaline, he's going to do massive damage. It'll say that he charges you. So what you want to do when that happens is climb down the stairs here. When you see that he's reaching 100% adrenaline, I recommend it's going to give you a notification in your chat box. So if you see that he reaches 100% adrenaline, run down the stairs. Keep in mind he cannot be safe spotted, so you can try and kite him, whatever you need to do, but don't bother trying to safe spot him. And then once he is dead, it is time to move on to Chaos Hreidmar. Um, Chaos Hreidmar is going to attack with magic, so it's recommended you protect from magic. He has a few more special abilities and is a little bit harder to kill than Chaos Grimsson. Uh, he can summon Chaos Dwarfs, so he'll summon a Chaos Dwarf Warrior and a Chaos Dwarf Hand Cannoneer. And he has a couple special abilities that involve these Warriors and Cannoneers. He can cause the Cannoneers to explode. It will also cause his Hand Cannoneers to do extra damage. You can, I guess, get around these abilities by doing damage to him. But if you can't do enough damage, you're just going to want to run from the warriors when they flash red, as they will explode and do 5,000 damage. And and the hand cannoneers, you just want to kill them as fast as possible. Using AoE abilities is highly recommended. So I had my Dragon Rider Lance for this fight, and I was able to avoid those abilities altogether just by doing AoE damage. And additionally, when he reaches 100% adrenaline, if you don't do enough damage to him, he will heal for 20% of his health. You can avoid these special abilities, like I said, by just doing enough damage. He won't be able to build up enough adrenaline to actually get his special abilities off. So once he's dead, you're going to want to just finish up by killing all the extra Chaos Dwarfs that have survived. And then once you're done with combat, talk to King Veldaban located on the floor just to the south. He's been turned into a Chaos Dwarf, so he thinks he should die. But I don't. So say yes, you can fight it. Follow it up with the second chat option. I won't let you give up. Fight it. And then the second chat option again. You can learn. Now fight. And your words were enough to save his life and prevent him from giving up. If you followed along with this exactly as it did, you actually could let him die. I didn't do that. You probably shouldn't do that either, but really doesn't change the outcome of the quest. So you're gonna get a cutscene here. Unfortunately, my computer crashed, so I can't show it to you. Right there. Look at my mouse spinning. Computer crashes, and once the cutscene ends, apparently, you're taken into the throne room. Because my computer did crash, I had to go downstairs and back upstairs to get this cutscene to trigger if you have the same problem. This cutscene is going to show the consortium telling King Veldaban that now that the Red Axe is taken care of, he does not need to be king anymore. He's like, is this a coup? This is a bad coup. And you're like, nah, Veldaban, step down. You don't want to be king anyway. Get out of here. He's like, you know what? Now that you said it, hero, you're right. When they said it, I didn't like it, but when you say it, I like it. So King Veldaban steps down from the throne, and that's quest complete. You did it. Well done. Congratulations. You now have access to get the Imancando Pickaxe. That's a lot of money you're going to spend. Join the friends chat, Lildogdog15. Subscribe, please. Please subscribe. Subscribe. Leave a like. And yeah, appreciate you watching. Check out my other videos.